Hello Helldivers, welcome back to the channel. As today we're going over the weapon customization that's been added to the game, and more importantly, which weapons benefited the most from the new update. From the Liberator all the way to the Eruptor, many weapons that suffered from huge weaknesses may now have found an answer to getting them all fixed. And today, I'll be going over a few underrated weapons that are actually winners. Starting with one of the most biggest glow-ups for the SMGs, the Reprimand has seen huge successes with players who have always liked the weapon but could never get behind it because of its poor accuracy, high spread, and poor vertical recoil. Before the weapon got its buff, the following issues that plagued the weapon prevented users from actually using the weapon at 50 meters plus accurately, as while you shot the weapon, its high spread would kick in halfway and cause the players to lose half the magazine before you could even rectify. As the weapon does not have a lot in its base magazine, it basically requires players to either burst fire or single fire it just so your shots could land on a more accurate display. And while going full auto is the best way to go with SMGs, the Reprimand seems to punish players more for doing so. However, now, as you can see, the weapon actually becomes laser accurate once you add on the compensator and vertical foregrip, which will straighten the weapon's accuracy out and allow your shots to become more accurate over time. You can even see how this affects the sim and how the shots become more aligned now. This small buff has made the weapon go from "don't touch this unless you want to throw" to the best weapon that God has ever gifted us. Now, the Scythe is considered a okay weapon to use on most fronts, as it really depends on the enemy type and armor value they pose. For example, it excels well against bots, as it can dismember them fairly easily while also being dead accurate with the precision damage. However, if you use this against the Gloom bugs, for example, who are a bit more tankier than the less evolved versions, you can see the weapon struggle with outright killing most of them. It is not a bad weapon overall, as it has received some buffs in the past that have improved its cooldown rate, increased enemy ignition speeds, and the removal of recoil. However, if you want to make this weapon even more viable than normal, then you want to add on the high capacity heatsink modifier added to your weapon, as will allow your weapon to store more heat and thus allow it to last much more longer. Why this is important is self-explanatory. Like most las weapons, they can easily overheat in a matter of seconds against tough enemies or large swarms of enemies. Because of how long it can take for a weapon to cool down, it can leave you vulnerable unless you have a secondary or special to help you out. With high capacity heatsink, your weapon can last up to 12 seconds if it's continuous use compared to without it that lasts up to 8 seconds. As you can see, the Scythe will let the mods last for a good while on its own. Now switch this to the mod added on, and the weapon just goes on and on and on until it then eventually overheats. So if you'd like to use the las based weapons and loadouts more, then be sure to add this one mod on when you get the chance, as both the high capacity and high dissipation are two really good mods for the weapon. I actually do think these actually make the weapon extremely more better over time. Now, the Eruptor is an already pretty powerful weapon to use on any front, but it suffers heavily from poor ergonomics, making it slow and less reactive to use from one target to another. However, you can now change this to where the weapon has iron sights, which bump the ergo stat up to 30, and then adding on the angle foregrip, which should then push the ergo stat up to an extra 5 as well, which is incredible and improves the weapon's performance by 10 volts. While this might make hitting long distance shots a bit harder to do, the trade-off of having faster ergonomic speed overall means that you can react better with the weapon at hand and does not need to really worry about range as long as you're within a good medium range. This small buff has long been requested through standard buffs from the devs, but the added on customization option has actually fixed a major issue that has plagued the weapon since day one. The Tenderiser is one of those weapons that is really good and fun to use because of its really stupidly high accuracy, but is not commonly seen by most players. It feels great to use, and is one of those weapons I would highly recommend a new player to use if they are after a Halo-ish battle rifle. The thing is an absolute laser. It has virtually no recoil, some of the best ergonomics in game, and now has the lowest bullet spread, and this is before you added on even any attachments to it. So why should you use it even now, you ask? Well, you can make the weapon even more accurate if you wish, which I know sounds stupid, but hear me out. You can add just the iron sights for improved ergonomics and push it up to 60 instead, a vertical foregrip for better control, a muzzle brake or flash hinder for a simpler, tighter spread to make it even more laser accurate AR. If the weapon didn't have the option to light penetration and such a small magazine size, this would actually be one of the best ARs to use in game. But as that is not the case, the weapon still comes out on top either way. Now lastly, we have the Breaker Shotgun, the spray and pray variant that sees a lot of usage on the bug front if you're not using any normal or incendiary variation. While the shotgun is already great at destroying targets and breaking parts, you can actually tighten the spread even more to the point of being pinpoint accurate and even more deadlier than it currently is. It can have 8 drum magazines, or 13 extended mags, a full choke, and an angle foregripped to make this something very disgustingly used worth 240 per damage shot. You don't even need to add on a full choke mod, as half choke is even viable to use to a degree. But the sheer fact you can make this weapon destroy everything around you while still pumping enough lead to fill a bug hole or two should have persuaded you to pick this bad boy up and level it as soon as possible. Your shots are now less being missed and more focused on leaving a large impact hole on whatever poor sap is caught by you, friend or foe. So, to conclude everything we have gone over, these 5 weapons, which are both viable and slightly slept on, can become even more powerful over time by simply adding on attachments that improve their overall usage by a mile. While it may take time to upgrade them, the grind is worthwhile with how devastating they become, and you alone should be taking a look at these ASAP. So there we have it. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you have any thoughts on the content shared or genuine like was shown, then please leave a comment, a like, and subscribe for more future stuff. It was great seeing you again, Helldivers, and I hope to see you again soon.